Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing the three pets of God from both a mythological perspective as well as a symbolic perspective, to help you understand what these so-called monsters were and what their role and function was and still is in Abrahamic mythology. Now these three monsters are called Behemoth, Leviathan and the lesser known Ziz. These monsters can be found in both the Old and the New Testament, but of course the legends and myths surrounding these archetypical creatures go way beyond that. Because they're exactly that. They're based on archetypes and are therefore archetypical. It is not arbitrary or for pure sensation that these monsters exist in the biblical myth the way that they are. They have a function and embody, so to speak, certain phenomena, experiences and patterns that the ancients saw in their lives and in life in general, and we still do so as well. Let's start off with the Behemoth, who is mainly presented to us in the book of Job, where it is described as an enormous animal with both behavioral and physical characteristics that remind us of a hippopotamus, an elephant or even a mammoth. This beast, however, was much larger than these animals. It had an enormous tail and had the power and ability to shake the earth just by walking on it. It also had the ability to cross deep and wild rivers without any fear, and to destroy mountain ranges with its tail alone. It's as if this monster had the power of all animals on Earth combined, amassed into this one beast. It is therefore no wonder that the word behemoth is derived from the Hebrew word behema, meaning large or brutish animal, but then in its plural form. Now think about that, this beast's name literally accumulates all large animals into the name itself. What does that represent? The behemoth stands for the uncontrolled and unwavering colossal power of everything that quite literally moves on this earth, perhaps even beyond animals itself. We can also count earthly forces as well, such as earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. It is and represents at the same time something that we humans cannot control on this earth. We can see it and we can definitely feel it, and it is something that we can experience. It then makes sense that it is described the way it is in mythology, because we must think of these stories developing over time as ideas and patterns that people projected onto the world but also drew from the world they saw in a way that seemed most fitting to them. Wanting to project and establish these ideas in a way that is most easily understandable for their own and future generations, the transferring of which would mostly find its course through oral tradition, it does make sense that these ideas are projected onto the largest and most destructive and brutish animals that people did or had encountered thus far. That's why the behemoth looks and is described like this. Now Ziz and the Leviathan are of course a bit different, because like I said, the behemoth represents everything that uncontrollably and forcefully roams the surface of the earth, forces that we can see and directly experience. We can see the hordes of dangerous animals, feel and even see the earthquakes and the trembling of the mountains. But this is not entirely the case when it comes to the skies or the seas. Let's have a look at Ziz first, appointed by God as Lord of the skies and ruler of the celestial spheres. Now what does he look like? Well, he's not mentioned as often as the Behemoth or the Leviathan in the Bible, and he's not as well known in popular or folklorish culture either. But imagery and the mythological origins of his appearance and the mythological creature itself, and what he represents therefore, are quite clear. He is always pictured as a mix of different types of mighty birds, therefore we often can find him with the head, beak and claws of, for example, an eagle, and feet and a tail like a griffin or a serpent. Now the size of this bird is supposedly almost indescribable. In one of the stories in Jewish folklore that we have, Ziz is described by sailors as a bird so huge that he could fully block out the sun with the span of his wings, and even if he'd stand in the deepest ocean, his knees would still be above the surface of the water. Still, this bird was less to be feared than the behemoth, and was instead more admirable and awe-inspiring for its otherworldliness and rule over the skies. It was more a protector and guardian of creation than a seemingly random factor of brute force. And this is of course what the skies are, a protective layer for the fragile earth, but at the same time something beautiful, higher and otherworldly, as it is pretty much the gateway to the heavens and therefore God himself. Zeus then represents this relation of the skies as the mediation between earth and heaven, as the protector of the skies and therefore earth, and the grandeur and beauty of the wisdom of everything above us and higher than us. However, we must make no mistake. Zeus is still a majestic and even scary force to be reckoned with. The invisible but powerful winds, the sudden lightning strikes, and the unpredictable weather with all its storms and hurricanes. And even in a more abstract sense, the sometimes seemingly arbitrary twists of celestial fate renders us humans completely puny next to Zeus, symbolized all the more by his difference in physical height as well. Now, the last of God's pets is definitely the most famous one, and not just because of Thomas Hobbes' 7th century work on the power of the state and the monopoly of violence. This is the Leviathan. The Leviathan is described as a giant serpent-like creature that roams the waters of the earth and moves unseen beneath its surface. This beast, just like the others, is beyond human control as well. Still, what is so unique about the Leviathan is that it's dangerous and impactful, just like the other two, but this one moves completely unseen and is much less direct. It moves out of our sight, below our range of vision. It cannot be grasped directly by our senses, so to speak. And it's not just that. In many images of the Leviathan, it is depicted as a multi-headed monster, so that if you look at it, you wouldn't know which head to look at. And even if you did focus on one face, or so to speak, aspect of the beast, you'd for sure let the others go unnoticed. Even in this way, you can never fully get a grasp of the beast's intentions, or even its true nature, even if you'd be able to stare directly at it. And that is exactly what it embodies. It embodies the chaos and most seemingly disordered patterns and dynamics in this world, all things that we cannot understand, do not see and cannot even notice, even if we stare it down directly. The snake or any serpent-like creature is, speaking from evolution, again of course a perfect animal or symbol to project this phenomenon of chaos onto. Whether it's a snake in the water, or hidden in the high grass, or of course even in a tree. It always moved beneath the notice of us humans, especially when we started to move upright. And even their behavior in terms of moving in a silent and zigzagging manner is sneaky and aimed at surprising its prey. In other words, a serpent that moves in a large, unknown dark body of water, which until today we haven't even explored for 5% according to scientists, is of course a perfect and striking symbol for chaos itself, the unknown, and everything else we cannot see or understand. If now we sum up the existence and symbolical meanings of these three creatures, we basically come to a representation of the world around us, split into three recognizable and representative creatures that are beyond our control but are in no way beyond control for God, the creator of these creatures, and thus the patterns that they represent. These mythological creatures therefore go to tell us that though God made the world around us and let us walk in it, the world itself is not in our control, at least not fully, but it is in His. It is basically telling us our place, our role, so to speak, in His creation. These are forces we are not even supposed to be dealing with, so don't even try. They are on a different plane and level. It wouldn't even be a challenge. It would instead be foolish and essentially hubris. We'd lend ourselves a greater role than we actually got from God, an excess of confidence and pride. Why would we try to take on the constellations or death or even chaos itself? These are regions of creation that we have no business with, or at least cannot master or tame. Now humans want to tame and control many things in life, and we do often successfully. We can climb the mountains, we have domesticated or defeated large and fearsome beasts, and have been able to hide from even the gravest of storms. Still, these stories are here to not let us become too prideful, to remind us that there are limits to our mastery, that we cannot master everything that we want, and that not we, but the Almighty Creator is the only one that can master it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.